So it has been and is a very busy August. So we haven't done a tour for quite a while and a lot has changed, not just in the growth but in various things that's happened in and around the greenhouse. So I'm going to do a tour of the greenhouse today and have a look and chat about what happened, and then we'll move over to the hothouse. I'll probably make that a different video and we'll talk about all the more traditional type of house plants that we have over there and the disaster that befell them through August. Not quite so much a disaster here in the greenhouse, so let's have a look at what's going on. And we are in. Okay, as we walk through, things are looking pretty good now, I have to say. We did have quite a large burr patch, well, lots of burr patches all through the greenhouse once we got rid of the mite attack, because my goodness, nearly everything had mite, practically everything, and I didn't know it until I got myself a little botanist's hand lens, and I guess it explains a lot. I think I lost a lot of orchids through mite over the years and I just didn't know it. I always assumed that I could see them, and I could in fact see them on certain plants, but the key bit of information that I didn't realise was that some plants actually eject their leaves well before the mites get to the visible stages. Have you been able to see all the little bits of webbing and so on and so forth? And that was what was continually happening. So let's have a look at what's going on. Things are coming back pretty strongly. The Mandevilla, obviously, don't think that had mites. That was probably one of the few that seemed to resist them, and that's doing pretty well. Lots of red flowers on there. Look at this Bougainvillea. So we've got the Bougainvillea here, and we've got a couple more Mandevilla at the side, all kind of mixed and twining in with it now. But you can see the leaves are much more robust. We don't have the kind of speckled mottling effect that we had before when it had the mites, and it really only had a few mites, half a dozen mites on it before it ejected those leaves. So I'm actually hoping for a blooming again. I don't see why this won't bloom again, even though it did bloom once to a fashion. It wasn't very attractive plant at the time, but you know, this is something that you've got to deal with when you have all your plants in an enclosed space like this, and when they're all touching. You know, have them all separate, then you won't have a problem, but have them touching and there is most definitely a problem. So let's see what we can discuss now. So Streptocarpus, obviously it's the best of the season at the moment. This one needs lots of deadheading to happen here. Just not got round to that. The species one over here, this is Streptocarpus saxorum, and I was complaining on Instagram that it doesn't seem to be giving me like that multiple amounts of blooms. I only ever seem to get one at a time, but I've got quite a few on it now, and there's quite a few buds dotted about the place. So I think what happened with that is it just didn't like the 38 degrees, and let's face it, who does? 38 degrees that I was getting in here through the middle of August. We're coming towards kind of the last quarter of August now, and it's beginning to give me a few more blooms and looking much nicer. It doesn't want to be in the sun. It doesn't want to be in that really hot place. It likes bright light, but a little bit more kind of shelter, if you like. This Dracula had, I would say, about 14 spikes on it, and one by one they've all died off, and there's the latest one that's died off. And again, quite naturally, 38 degrees is not Dracula weather. So let's have a look what else we've got to look at here. So I now know that this kind of damage that you can see this browning, and you can see this on a lot of my orchids over the last couple of years, that is spider mite damage. It might be the false spider mite. There are apparently quite a few different species of spider mite, as I saw myself with my hand lens. Thankfully, the new growth doesn't have it. So I'm cutting off all the old leaves as and when I can. Look, it's even got another spike coming up here, so I'm really pleased to see Phragmipedium ainsworthii. Ed from Ed's Orchids will also be very pleased, I think, for me. So here's something new. So this one, well, it's not new, it's just that you've not seen it bloom. This is Echinanthus, and this is, hang on, no, it's not Echinanthus, it's Achimines yellow beauty. It's another Gesneriad, so it's in the Streptocarpus family. And this is the first time it's bloomed. I've had it about 3 years. Why is this the first time it's bloomed, I hear you say? Guess what? It had spider mite, and it was another one that I just couldn't tell. I didn't know that it had spider mite until I got this little hand lens. Gosh, what a lifesaver that has been. So it's really nice to see things coming back. I've always assumed when things die it was cultural, and it seems not. I've talked about this fern, I've just done a video and talked about it, so I won't go into great detail about this fern. Another spider mite victim here. So this is Dendrobium, I always forget this one, Dendrobium nobile star class of pollen, something like that. Again, absolutely beautiful leaves now, and I now know what the spider mite damaged leaves look like, but it's putting on a nice little blooming for me. Not as good as I've had in the past, but well, can you blame it? Considering, you know, we've only recently sprayed, we've got loads of new canes which have just put an absolute ton of growth on. So I would say they have come in the last month. They've all grown in the last month. Maybe a couple of them are cakeys. That one's a keiki. I always cut the cakeys off. Don't like cakeys. Let us see what else is going on here. So we've got, obviously, my Nepenthes over here suffered in the heat. You can see, even though I've got shading on, they've just crisped up. Hopefully they will come back once the weather improves and gets a bit cooler. You can see that one's not so bad because that one's a little bit more sheltered. That one isn't. Even though they are the same, they're the same plants, it's the same cultivar of plants. They're both Rebecca Soper. I'm not particularly bothered, I've got plenty of them. That's a tiny, tiny little picture. Okay, so again, another Nepenthes up here. So this one is, what's this one? Ventricosa. And you can see again, see the dying leaves, you can see there's a dead leaf there. Again, it's the heat that's done that, but it's still producing pictures. There's another new one there, so I'm not too worried about that. This one is it Platychilla? Spectabilis and Platychilla. Again, nice couple of new pictures coming on. It's surprising once the weather cools down a bit how quickly those pictures come. So over here, we've talked about this before. This is my A&E, my accident and emergency room, whatever you want to call it. And I'm not really doing this to try and get them to bloom again. This is all about learning for me. This is teaching me how to get these things so that they will grow without rotting and grow without, well, getting the spider mite on them, I guess. And a lot of them have come back absolutely in I mean, look at this, that had no leaves on whatsoever, and now it has plenty of leaves on, and we even have some nice roots growing there. So what I do with these, they're only literally sitting on top of the moss, and then it's to encourage them to grow roots, but to allow that moss to dry out, because that's always been the problem, hasn't it, in this kind of a place in the greenhouse. Again, a couple of new roots coming on there, so I'm just touching them to the moss, I'm spraying the moss, but I'm letting it dry out. So whether I get any of these to flower again, I don't know, but I'm learning while I'm doing it, and that's really important for me, I think. So we have, what's this one? So this is my Hibiscus rosa sinensis sprinkle rain. It has had a couple of beautiful flowers on it. I'm trying to get it to bush out. I keep pinching everything out to try and get it to bush out, but it seems it doesn't want to bush out. It wants to just keep producing blooms. I've had to spread out my Streptocarpus. They're normally over there in the other side of the greenhouse, but they're getting so big now, I've had to spread them all out. Plus I also had an attack of aphids. You know, I have a place here where the windows are always open, the door is always open. I have to accept that I am going to get lots and lots and lots of bugs. That's just the nature of having a greenhouse. I can't keep it shut up. You know, if it's going to get to 38 and I keep it all shut up, well, you can add another 10-15 degrees on top of that. Things just wouldn't survive. I'm just going to have to accept that I'm going to consistently get bugs. I'm going to constantly be fighting them, but they better believe I'm going to spray the hell out of them when they do come in here. Unfortunately, as organic as I might be out in the garden, in here, this is my domain. There's nothing organic about it, unfortunately. That is beautiful, isn't it? Absolutely beautiful Streptocarpus. They all are. I'm really pleased. I mean, obviously I wouldn't have bought them otherwise. Really pleased with them. They've come back strongly now that we've got rid of the aphids and the Streptocarpus mites and the whatever else is out there to attack them. Very untropical. These are my mint plants. I've actually thought I quite like a mint tea, so I thought I'd grow some different types of mints. I've got a chocolate one, a strawberry one. What else have we got? We've got, what's that one? Apple mint, we've got lemon balm, all sorts going on there. Really pleased with them. Finally getting my Cyclamen to go dormant, although that one's refusing to. I keep giving them a tiny little bit of water occasionally, and I mean a tiny bit. And the reason for that is I don't want them to completely desiccate, which is what's happened in the past, and I've lost them like that. My other Mandevilla over here, doing really well. Beautiful bloom. I really like this pink one. Shame there are not really other colours in Mandevilla. I know I've got the white one, which hopefully will bloom pretty soon. Just a little point on that, let me just take you back to that. So this is Mandevilla laxa. You can see I've got a tiny little pot down here. There's another one over there. Now let's just try and find the leaves. Now that's my Bougainvillea there. I think these more pointy ones are the Mandevilla laxa, and I do believe, even though it says that they are tropical and obviously they wouldn't be hardy in frost, I have heard that at Kew in London they do have a Mandevilla laxa growing outside perfectly well all year round. So again, it's one of those things, isn't it, with the hardiness thing, you've just got to try it and see if you can get it to grow. It does have very fragrant blooms as well. So let's move on, let's see what else is going on over here. So beautiful little fern down here. So this is my Maidenhair fern. I can't remember which one it is. Again, it was 38 last week, so that's why I've got fronds like that. But that one is, you know, it is a real like prima donna kind of a plant. If you forget to water it for half an hour, then it's going to complain and let you know about it. So we normally have all the Streptocarpus over here, but you can see we have a mixture of plants with flowers on that side and plants with not many flowers on that side. Why did that happen? Greenfly, aphids, all over those. Not that I wasn't on the ball, but I was away for 2 weeks, and when I come back, that's what had happened. They'd spread, they were everywhere, and they, you know, you can go and spray them. If you spray them with a systemic, what tends to happen with Streptocarpus, first of all, it will mutate, so I'll get leaves joined together when they grow and really strangely shaped blooms, but also it kills the flowers off. So spray them, even if it's not a systemic, even if it's just an ordinary contact kind of chemical, it kills the flowers off anyway. And the aphids only go for the flowers, they don't go for the leaves. So, you know, one way or another, you're going to lose your blooms if they're covered in aphids. So I just always cut them off anyway. And you can see they're coming back. We've got loads of buds coming on them now. So I expect by the end of the week, we'll have some more blooms on there. But certainly on this side, everything's looking absolutely wonderful. This is just what happens. You've just got to get used to it. I'm really pleased with the way they're all blooming for me over here. And as I say, we're still quite warm in the temperatures, so things will come really good over there eventually. This has got really big now, so this is my unifoliate. Remember, it did have half of the leaf died off, and I cut it off, and it's just kind of expanded again. And we have a nice big, very unusual talking point there. I have fed all these, by the way. You really should feed them once a month. Now, I use Dibley's proprietary feed. It's like a little tablet that you just pop into the soil, or just pop it on top of the soil. You can just see one there. And I simply just put one in a month. Now, I'd not put one in for a while with being away and so on and so forth, so I've put one in. I do believe that also if they don't flower, say you've got an older one, and I've noticed this with some of my crystal ice varieties, like this is a crystal ice variety, not a bloom on it, even though it's in a new pot. And according to Dibley's anyway, if that happens, they just need more feed. Give them more feed and they will come. So that's what I'm going to do with that one. All looking really nice at the top here. Again, there's another crystal ice one on the end. It's just got a couple of blooms on it, but you can see it's much less floriferous than all the others. I do tend to find the crystal ice varieties anyway are slower in coming back. They are one that will go right through till December once it does eventually come back into bloom. So what else have we got here? All right, you've seen all these. Drosera, look at that. Looking absolutely fabulous. A little pinguicula there. I've cut all the blooms off my cephalotus. I'd had enough of them. They look like a little forest of cephalotus blooms. And of course it will give them chance to grow a few more leaves and so on. The Drosera are all doing really, really well. That King Sundew that you couldn't see, look at it now. It's really looking quite princely now. Still not kingly, but very princely. That's a nice one, Drosera madagascariensis, a little bit more unusual. Can't remember what that one is over there. That one is nidiformis, and my fingers are getting covered in sticky dew over here. That one over there isn't for all these Drosera Nepenthes around the outside, it's those little rosettes in the middle. Don't know if you can see that. Just move my camera over a little bit. See the rosettes there? I should really remove those, and I will do eventually. Now, what else have we got? So all my Masdevallias over there, again, got attacked by mite. I've had another pest recently, which I've never actually had before. I've had caterpillars, you know, butterfly caterpillars in the greenhouse munching away. So that's something else that I've had to deal with. Fortunately, they're really easy to see. I've only found one so far, but where there's one, there's usually more. There is your evidence. See those little black dots on the leaf? Well, they are the droppings of caterpillars. So if you see those, you know what they are. That takes me back a couple of years when I actually saw that once before. And I remember doing a video on it and said, what are these? And nobody knew what it was. So it's took me another 2 years to discover that it's actually caterpillar droppings. So that's still doing really well. This is my hybrid of Dendrobium cuthbertsonii, another mite victim, and I'm now beginning to think that every time I've lost a Dendrobium cuthbertsonii, it's been through mites. I lost about 4, maybe 5 over winter, and this one was going the same way until I actually sprayed it. So it's actually Dendrobium subwesiense crossed with cuthbertsonii. So it's doing much, much better. The leaves are looking much healthier on that now. And over here we have a mixture of things, some more different Streptocarpus looking fabulous. A couple of, what else have we got? A couple of pelargoniums looking really nice. This one's going to bloom. So this one lost all its leaves again. Guess what? It's the mite. Sotoanum. So it did lose all its roots as well, but fortunately I did exactly the same thing as I did with the ones over in A&E. It's got three spikes on it, and it's literally just resting on top of some moss, but now it's got some roots that's going down. Really pleased with that. This one, same thing, mite attack. Honestly, you can't believe how bad that looked. If you think it looks bad now, this is way better now. We've got some nice new canes coming, completely mite free. So this one is, I've not talked about orchids for such a long time, I've forgotten what they're all called. Berry odour, Dendrobium berry odour. So that hopefully is on its way to recovery now. Lovely little begonia there, looking good. So we've got some species pelargoniums here. Sidoides, I think that one is. This more pinky one is, what's that one? Oh, that's the Sidoides. I'm trying to trace where that comes from. That one there is Triphidum. Think of the Triffids, Day of the Triffids. Anybody remember Day of the Triffids? Another little pelargonium here. This is a Stella one. Really like that one. That's St Elmo's Fire. What else have we got going on? Another pelargonium. That's a nice one. Another quite small. Now there you go. There's your damage. Now, can you see that it's been bitten away? Now, whether that's slug damage or whether it's caterpillar damage, can't see any caterpillars on it. That could actually be slug damage. I really need to come in here on a night. See what's happening at the moment. We're having a new kitchen fitted. And if anybody's ever had a kitchen fitted, they'll know what an absolute disaster it causes of the place and in and around it. A couple more bits of damage here. See these holes? Now, I don't know what's causing these. I guess it's happening at night, some kind of beetle. I just hope that we don't have any vine weevil in here, because I'll know about that sooner or later, won't I? This one, this Cymbidium, again, see this on the leaves? Spider mite damage. The nice new leaves that are coming don't have that. If only I'd known. Again, see this on this Kingianum? Spider mite damage. Again, I didn't know. But we've got some new fronds. We've got some new canes coming on here. 1, 2, 3 new canes coming on that. So things are recovering from that. Again, spider mite damage, nice new canes coming here. Same with these Oncidiums. Again, sprayed them again. Things are improving with that as well. So we're really on the bounce back, I think. And you'll see when we get over to the hothouse that we're on the bounce back from something else that happened in August as well. But this is what growing plants is all about. The more you grow and the greater kind of a range of species and hybrids that you get and genera of plants, then the more difficult it becomes. This is why people specialise, isn't it? Much easier to specialise, but I just like things to be difficult, obviously. This is Pelargonium reniforme, another species. Really nice there. I know they're not really big and blousy, but I quite like these delicate ones. I think probably just because they're different. It's just something a bit different. So more streps down at the bottom. Another Pteris down here, cretica, I think. A brake fern, looks really nice. Now that one didn't get spider mite, but that one got scale. So that's it. It's on its comeback now. I completely lost this begonia over here, and it went again. It completely defoliated. I guess spider mite again, whatever it was. I sprayed it, and it's finally come back. So hopefully that'll start blooming again soon. My Phlebodium, always looking good. It doesn't seem to matter what you do with these, whether you keep them in warm, cold, whatever you do with it, whether it's in the pot or not. I mean, this one is so tight in this pot, it's just creating all these fuzzy rhizomes, which I actually quite like, and it seems quite happy. It keeps throwing up the fronds, so why wouldn't I like it? Please put in the comments anything that you see that takes your fancy, anything that you've got to tell me about your own situation with pests maybe, or with temperatures and so on and so forth. And if there's something that you really like that you don't know, just give me the timestamp and I'll tell you what it is, and you can perhaps have a look at getting one for yourself. If anybody sees anything that I've missed that you want me to chat about, then put that in the comments too. I just like to chat to people, let's face it, that's it really. My next video will be over in the hothouse. We'll have a look at what's going on in there. Oh, by the way, look at this one. So this is another Streptocarpus. I really like this one. I think it's cherry roulette or something, roulette cherry. That's a nice one. That's just coming back from another little aphid attack. So that's it for now. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.